Okay, I'm probably not going to use this tag because it's currently glitching over, or maybe I will. Actually, no, I don't think I will because it's currently... Maybe I will? Oh god, I don't even know anymore. Anyway, hello everybody, welcome back to the Silent Hill 3 commentary, the penultimate part where I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to use this tag because my editor is glitching out, and I just don't know anymore, man. But then again, I suppose that's generally the point with nowhere. You can't decide whether or not you're here, now you're there, now here, nowhere. It's just a mess. Anyway, this part is mostly gameplay, so that means I'm going to have to put my handy-dandy commentary to use. And we get a nice shot of the other world. Very interesting bit of visual imagery happens over there, but I'll point that out a little bit later as we get into this. I also apologize if I sound a little bit off. My nose, for whatever reason, has been blocked, and that's a bit disconcerting, because I don't usually suffer from hay fever or anything of the sort during the spring, so... yeah, I do apologize if I sound a little bit off than usual. I noticed it in the last part, and that was very... It kind of degraded the quality of my eyes, although then again I was also a little bit rambly and unfocused, so hopefully I can rectify it this part. But if not, then, well, shit's fucked, I guess. But I'll do my best to try and entertain you and be as informative as possible. Hello, this seems a little bit familiar. It is Harold Mason's diary. It's my dad's diary? Why would it be here? And here we get to see Harry Mason being the ultimate father that he is. You see, Harry Mason... I know Sybil Bennett is still my favourite Silent Hill character, but Harry Mason, man, he's up there. I love him so goddamn much. I want to cuddle him, kiss him, and do... Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. That'll probably get me the perverse ending in Silent Hill Shattered Memories. But anyway. Oh, Jesus. I should probably turn that... Yeah, I'll turn that down a little bit. But, yeah, missionaries usually always spawn. Once you usually hop into rooms like that. In any case, for those of you wondering what our current objective is now, we're basically searching for tarot cards. What for, you will see quite soon. And, well, I guess since we're getting to the first big stretch of non-talkative gameplay parts, well, it's time for a little something that I think a lot of people have discussed in fan forums time and time again regarding Silent Hill 3, and that's with, what Vincent said last time. Which is mostly down to the whole, they look like monsters to you line. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm probably gonna edit that out, but I just sniffled there. Anyway, in regards to what Vincent was saying about they look like monsters to you, a lot of people like to imply that Heather was actually killing people, or some people believe that he was just using it as a joke, as Vincent had outright stated. But, again, when it comes to Silent Hill, there isn't really a precedent for that sort of thing. It kind of operates on a bit of a case-by-case basis, you know, sometimes, most especially in the case of, would it be right to say Silent Hill... I'd say Silent Hill 3 probably makes a case for it, because Leonard Wolf, as a person, you know, if you read into a lot of the optional text, it comes to say that he was the one who was transformed into a monster after what he did to Stanley Coleman, and basically for his devotion to the cult, you know, ultimately warping his physical form to the point where he was quite literally a monster. And I guess, and this is something also that future games would also toy with, particularly Silent Hill Homecoming with, you know, some of the sacrificed kids. And I think even Silent Hill Downpour actually did this the best, really, with the concept of the bogeyman. You were never really sure whether it was Pat Napier or... Actually, you know what, I'll hold off on spoilers for Silent Hill Downpour, because I plan on covering that at some point. I'm not going to be covering any Silent Hill game, you know, after this one for considerable amount of time, but I don't know. I'm just thinking about what Silent Hill game I'm going to do next, and yes, we recognize this. It was Cheryl's sketchbook with the lovingly detailed Harry Mason artwork. Although there was a lot less poems in it last time. And again, as I was mentioning earlier, like, I mean, all the way throughout the parts, and again, I would be remiss to call Silent Hill 3 lazy, because I think what Team Silent were trying to do was a much more linear game. And, you know, something that I think was trying to rectify some of the... I guess more so the disorientation that the first two games had, which I'd argue worked more to their benefit than to their detriment, but You know, I mean, you see a lot of the stuff like this, you know, in the Gillespie house, and the fact that, you know, it's all done up in spiffy PlayStation 2 graphics, and I just kind of sit here thinking that, you know, this either should have led into a Silent Hill 1 remake, or, you know, this should have led into, I guess, Silent Hill 3 more so tying into Silent Hill 1. Because, I mean, I know, you see Alessa's room rendered here, and you're just sitting here thinking, why couldn't they do that for the rest of the game? I don't know, maybe that's just me being petty, but that's just something that's constantly on my mind whenever I see Silent Hill 3 just do these areas over again. And excuse me, but I need to fix something up. Okay, sorry about that, I just had to kind of fix a few things up here and there. Okay, I'm just running a bit smoothly. So, yeah, completely forgot what tangent I was going on, but again, I think I'll find some trivia to pad out. And this is, again, we're just one of the tarot cards here, so there's nothing really important to talk about. Well, except for the fact that we have another bloody footprint walking through sequence that I believe Fear made popular. Or Doom 3, well, actually no, Silent Hill 3, I think predates both of them. Well, then again, I think it's also kind of a popular horror trope in general for ghost movies, but yeah, as I said earlier, this was meant to be psychologically reflective of Lisa Garland as she looked after Alessa. And again, I finally remembered what I was talking about, and this leads into the secret passageway, which is meant to be, you know, a nice little callback to the hospital basement in Alchemia Hospital. You know, something that you could have brought back, you know, if you put all that effort into it. But no, I'm sure what we really wanted to see was a fucking sewer level, because that was fun. Anyway, go over here, and what is this? Familiar territory. You see, look, Alessa's, you know, basement hospital bed from Silent Hill 1, all faithfully recreated in Silent Hill 1 visuals. You know, it would have been great to see the rest of Silent Hill like this. Actually, that is something of a curiosity to me. Why didn't Konami funnel the money into putting Silent Hill 1 on the PS2? I mean, I guess maybe it wasn't really the time for it, but, you know, I mean, Resident Evil did that, and, you know, I think... Actually, when did a remake come out? Like, 2002? 2003? I mean, it wasn't even 10 years old, but, you know, Capcom still put in the effort, so you would have thought that Silent Hill 1 would have at least gotten... I mean, if not a PlayStation 1 port, then at the very... No, what am I talking about? PlayStation 1 port. I mean, if not a port of the PS1 game, at the very least, you know... I don't know, I mean, at least something that would have given it a little bit more of an up-res. I don't know. Actually, that is also something of a curiosity, because, you know, I mean, Konami were all too happy to port Silent Hill 2 and 3 on the HD collection, but, well, whenever it comes to Silent Hill 1, it's just... gone. And that's always disappointing, because I think Silent Hill 1 is probably the scariest game the series has had so far, which I know is a bit of a controversial move for some people, because a lot of people consider Silent Hill 1 to be a bit dated. And, you know, say what you will about voice acting and, you know, some of the technical aspects, you know, like the very stiff models, but I still think Silent Hill 1's horror has been arguably better handled than every other game in the series. I mean, Silent Hill 3 comes close, but I think Silent Hill 1 wins out by pure virtue of its disorientation and the fact that you can hardly ever tell where you're going. I don't know. I still have a soft spot for Silent Hill 1. It's like, I mean, in terms of... I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Forgive me, I'm just a bit of a rambly mess. But the point is, Silent Hill 1 is cool, and I'm disappointed that it's rarely, if ever, included in collections. And that's something of a curiosity as well, because Metal Gear Solid is rarely ever included on collections as well. So, I mean, is it something to do with the PS1's architecture being different from games on the PlayStation 2? It's a bit of a curiosity for me, because the PS2 was backwards compatible with other sorts of games, so is it a PS3 thing? But I mean, if that's the case, then why the hell do they emulate games from the PlayStation 1 on, you know, the PS3 and PS4? That... it just doesn't make any sense to me, you know? Wish the sniffly nose would fucking go away, but it doesn't. Now you might hear some occasional burbles from my nose, which is very disgusting, but then again, we're in the other world where disgusting stuff rules. And so now, with the lack of anything else to talk about, it's time for some trivia. And this is actually to do with the chapel itself, which has quite a bit of significance, as it was the place that Alessa and the cult came to worship their god, obviously. However, this place is also described as being something of a home to the cult members, which you'll see in just a little bit, actually. Because even though you don't come across any sort of members, so to speak, you see cassette tapes and, well, what's basically amounts to living quarters. Like, I mean, here you have study records, which, goes into detail about the halo of the sun. And this goes into detail about what it does and, what the different colours represent. Like, and as I was mentioning last part, red typically represents, in service of God, whereas blue is the reverse meaning, which is to place a curse on God. And this is something to pay attention to in regards to Vincent, because, let's just say he makes something of an oopsie-daisy a bit later on in the game. Anyway, best to get out of here before the insane cancer has its fun with us. It is very interesting to note, though, that this place is also a home to a lot of the cult members, because... And again, it's something of a fascination to me on a personal level as a fan of Silent Hill, because a lot of people are all too ready to say that, oh no, the cult isn't very interesting, I only like Silent Hill 2. But, for me, some of the most interesting parts of Silent Hill is really the cult itself and how much of a mystery it is. Because, I mean, you see people devoted to the faith, and, you see people like Dahlia Gillespie and, Leonard Wolf that are just all kill the non-believers, but then you also have people like Vincent who still worship the cult but have their own interest, and then people like Claudia who clutch at it like blind faith, and, those sorts of characters I find very, very interesting because they all have different reasons for wanting to support this religion. And, I don't know, I've always wanted to see a Silent Hill game that delves a little bit more into that and explores, the psychology behind the sort of people that join this religion and why they support it, and, the various conflicts that can happen within, because I think there's a very good Silent Hill story to be told there. Also, once again, this is probably going to be the last time that I bring it up. Silent Hill 1 Remake. These rooms fucking tease me. Would have been nice to visit Sandwich Elementary School again. But again, I mean, as I was saying, a story based around the cults, or, hell, even the indoctrination as a child, I think, is interesting as Silent Hill 4 delves into with Walter Sullivan's childhood. And, I guess part of the reason why I get so mad at games like Silent Hill Homecoming is because it takes a look at a concept which tells the sort of Silent Hill story that I think I, as a fan, always wanted to tell. Also a nice little cameo from Kim Gordon over there, because as we all know, Sonic Youth taught at Midwich Elementary School. They gave up their career as an alternative rock band to settle into Silent Hill, where they fought against cults and demons and rocked out to some music. Anyway, we're coming up to the one cutscene in this entire part really, so I'll let you have a listen to this and then continue to delve into my tangent, because this is related.
Do you know about what happened here 17 years ago? You've been here a long time. You must have heard some details.
A group of pagans, blinded by earthly desires, spit in the very face of God. They tried to use the seal of Metatron to prevent God's awakening. But God drove the unbelievers away and threw them into the abyss. But due to their wickedness, God was unable to be born properly. And so, she has slumbered ever since, in the womb of the Holy Mother, until the time of the awakening. That's all that I know.
That's it, huh? Well, thanks.
Father Vincent, I heard that the Holy Mother has been found. Is it true?
Alessa has been found? Did Claudia say that?
Yes.
Then it must be true. Her sight rarely fails her.
Bless the Lord.
Maybe it's because of her great faith. But I could never be like her. I wouldn't want to.
Nor I. The truth is, Sister Claudia frightens me a little.
Well now, let's both show our faith by forgetting about this little talk, okay?
Yes, but does that mean this land will finally be the home of eternal paradise?
If God wills it, my sister. If God wills it.
You see, this right here shows the very interesting dynamic that the cult has with people. And I guess also in a way highlights how lonesome Claudia really is. A lot of people aren't really following her because she's the leader, it's mostly because they follow the same religion, but they keep themselves at arm's length from Claudia, which I think really does showcase just what sort of person that Claudia is, but in turn also shows how manipulative people like Vincent can be, and just generally how the cult views its other members. Like, I mean, this, in spite of still worshipping a god that wants to, you know, cause fire and brimstone destruction to the non-believers, it's still very interesting to see that human element, which doesn't entirely turn me off from the whole cult stuff like a lot of other people seem to think it does. Like, I mean, again, I know emotions and, you know, psychological trauma are at the forefront of what made Silent Hill 2 good, but at the same time, though, I think there is a lot of uncovered ground with the cult and, you know, a lot of the religious practices that I feel could make a great Silent Hill story if only people focused on it. Which I think was probably part of the reason why I wasn't really that into PT, okay, well, again, that's a different video entirely, but I wasn't quite as into it as a lot of other people were. I was sort of ambivalent back when it came out, but I think now that time has gone on and I've really had time to think about it, I think that's probably why I wasn't really as, woo, let's go, this is going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Or at least as the general reaction was for the game back then. But that's another thing entirely. Here we're taking a look at Claudia's personal thoughts. I don't know. It's a birthday card. Claudia was still hanging on to this. To little Claudia, happy 6th birthday. I love you like you were my real sister. Here's to you. Well, isn't that nice? I don't know. Actually, I'm remiss to save this for another sort of video, but again, I don't know if this is just me, but I always felt like characters such as Claudia had real potential to be some... Again, I think I might have discussed this before with Silent Hill Shattered Memories, but I don't know, like... Maybe I'll get into this when I review Silent Hill Shattered Memories, but I feel like there's a real story that could have been told with Claudia Wolf. Much in the same way that they sort of reimagined Cheryl Mason's role in Silent Hill Shattered Memories. I don't know, I mean, that game was poorly received, but I still saw a lot of potential in it, and that might be a video that I make in the future, because there was so much potential with that, and I just want to talk about it. But again, I'm a little bit too scatterbrained during the commentary to really do it justice, I'm afraid, so that's going to be saved for a later date. I suppose, if there's any last things to really talk about, the Vartiel. It's time for another Silent Hill creature feature, so, again, since we're running out of monsters, let's talk about the Vartiel, the creature that we've seen time and time again but has never directly attacked a lesser. And that is because Vartiel is tied directly to God itself, as something of an attendant. It's not tied to any specific human emotion or sin, as his role and appearance in Silent Hill 3 is to be a guide and to protect the Holy Mother until she's ready to bring God into this world. And I thought that was actually a really clever twist on the whole monster concept, because if you end up dying, like at any point during the game, you might get the occasional cutscene where the Vartiel drags Heather's body away, and it's implied that he performs some sort of revitalization ritual, which brings Heather back to life so she can continue to bring, you know, so she can continue to curdle up the hatred and bring God into the world. Oh, fucking knows, I despise you. In any case, yeah, really interesting. It actually does make Vartiel one of the more interesting monsters in Silent Hill, considering the fact that it is tied wholly to the cult. Or at the very least in terms of God. I'm not really sure what other games have really done with him. If they give Vartiel a prominent role... Oh, Jesus. Yeah, sorry if I'm not really thinking clearly right now. My editor is fucking with me and I'm getting very pissed off. My dialogue may or may not be skipped over with this. But anyway, now that we have gotten all the tarot cards, it is time to complete the puzzle. And of course, this varies depending upon whether or not you're playing on easy, normal, or hard mode. For the ridicule? That sounds like the Riddler saying radical. Ridicule me this, Batman, whoa. Anyway, the tarot cards usually go in more of a Y shapes, however, if you need to refer to the book, it should give you your answer depending upon which one it is, although it can be very confusing on the first time playthrough, so if you get stuck, I don't know, you're on your own. I'm not very laterally minded. But again, I don't think it's really that difficult to figure out. In any case, I think I've rambled on long enough, so this is it. The penultimate part of Silent Hill 3 is coming to an end, and thus our journey is coming to a close. We had some fun, it's nearly over. Oh, if only we had a little more time to have fun and do stuff. Jesus Christ, this is fucking foreboding music for the final section, but then again I guess that's appropriate, so... On that note, I am Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and next time on Silent Hill 3, well, I'm gonna take a quick drink of the Pepsi, have a bit of a break, and then we're gonna finish this game for good. Have a good Friday night, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.